Hi everyone. So today we'll be solving this LeetCode hard problem, maximum number of groups with increasing length. So let's see the problem statement. So we are given an usage limits array of length n. Now our task is to create groups using numbers from 0 to n minus 1, and we need to ensure that each number I is used no more than usage limits of I. So a number I cannot be used more than the value represented by the usage limits of I in total across all groups. So we need to create groups and such that these numbers are not used more than usage limits of I. And along with that, we need to satisfy the following conditions. Like each group will only consist of distinct numbers. And apart from that, every next group will have a length greater than the previous group. So like if the first group has a length of 1, like first group had one element, then the next group have greater than one elements like 2, 3 or something, and the next group should have 3 or more, the next group have 4 or more, and so on. So like this we need to follow, and now we need to return the maximum number of groups we can create while satisfying the given conditions. So and the constraints are like till 1e5. So means trying to means satisfy the condition in a brute force manner, like recursively or using backtracking will not work here obviously. So we need to do something in the order of n or order of n log n. Now, so for example, if we are given this as an input, so here the indices are like 0, 1 and 2. So 0 can be used one times at most, 1 can be used at most two times, and 2 can be used at most five times. So now let's try to create groups of like size 1. Number of groups is 1. So we need to only create one group. So the first group will have one elements only. Means it can have one elements, two elements, or so on. So we can either create one group of which contains 0, or we can either create one group which contains 0 and 1, or we can either create one group which contains 0, 1, 2. Now if we try to create a group of like suppose 0, 1, 2, 2, so this is not allowed because this group has 2 as repeating as a duplicate, but a particular group should have only consist of distinct numbers. So these are means like possible ways of creating the groups, and here like say we are able to create one groups. Now let's try to create two groups satisfying the usage condition. So for example, if we try to create a group of size 1, so let's try to use the number which has the maximum usability. So let's try to use 2 here. Then the next group we can use 2 elements. So again let's use 2. So 2 and 1. Now since again we are able to create these two groups, let's try for 3. So we have created two groups. Next group should have a size greater than 2. This was a size equals to 2. Here the size equals to 1. Now again we have used 2 two times only, but usability is 5 times. We can again use this 2. We have used 1 once only, so we can use it once more. We have not used 0 till now, so we can use 0 as well. Now let's try to create the fourth group of size 4. So like as you can see, like since the indices are means the number of distinct indices are n only, so we cannot create a group which can have distinct numbers of size greater than n, right? So here we can fill like 0, 1, 2, but there is no other value to fill, so it will violate the first condition here. So that means like the maximum number of groups that we can create is n only, right? So this condition we need to star it. This will be useful here. Again let's try to see for this example here. So if we had 2 to 2, so let's try to create the first group. First group contains for example 2 only. Then let's try to make the second group of size 2. So since 2 is left, so we create 2 and then use 1 here, right? Let's try to create the third group. So we cannot use 2 anymore. We can use 1 here, obviously. So we will be able to use 1, and we'll able try to use 0 here. But now we'll not be able to use any other distinct integers. So a group of size 3 is not possible in this case. So the output here would be 2 only, right? Maybe try another scenario, like for example, if we try to fill it like 0, then 0 1, but again we have tried for 0 1 2, simply it is not possible. So it will, the maximum groups that we can form in this case is 2 only. So based on the the maximum answer that we can get, as we have seen above, is the maximum number of groups that we can create is n only, right? N. Why? Because suppose like, since usage limits of I can range up to 1e9. So for example, we are given an array which had elements like 1e9, 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 and so on. Now you might think like we can create more than n groups here, but since the group with size n will have elements from 0 to n minus 1 only, right? All the indices present, 0, 1, 2, 3 till n minus 1. Hence we can't create a group of size greater than. So hence it is like proven that maximum number of groups is n. Now how do we determine like the maximum number of groups that we can create while still satisfying the given conditions? So we now know that the means this result would be less than equals to n only. We will not be able to create more than n groups. Now how do we create this group so that we are using it efficiently, using the usability array efficiently? So we are sure that the first group will have size 1, then the second group will have size 2, then the third group will have size 3, fourth group will have size 4. Why we are doing this? So that means why we are not creating first group of a larger size, because means we will be wasting a particular element by using it here only, because we can use it to create newer groups, right? So we will not waste it to create redundant groups here. So hence, and since we need to create a size of groups of increasing size, hence we start from size 1 and then gradually move forward. Now we know that each group should have distinct elements. So what if instead of seeing it like this, we try to see it from this manner? Like, so after if you try to dry run for some test cases, we'll see means this POV can simplify the problem a lot, because in this POV there is no condition of distinct integers, right? Because we can fill 1 1 1 in this POV, right? This will not violate the distinct condition that we need to follow horizontally, right? We can put 2 2 here, we can put 3 3 3 here, we can put multiple zeros here, all right? We can also suppose we used 1 here, so we can put 1 here and then 0 here, all right? So if we try to see it from this perspective, then maybe the problem becomes simpler. Now let's try to run it again on some test case. For example, 1 2 3, or no, uh, 1 2 5 only. Let's see for this test case only. So we tried to make 3 groups. We know the correct answer is 3. Now since we are seeing it from this perspective, in this manner we need to fill one value in this vertical we need to fill two values, in this vertical we need to fill three values. So what if we means if this was given in the form of like 5 1 2, all right. So what if we sort the values, right? Because we are not supposed to return the groups that we'll create. We are only supposed to find out the maximum number of groups that we need to create. So even if we sort these values, the means it does not matter like 0 is presenting 5 times or 2 is being represented 5 times, right? So why we are sorting it? Because if we are able to find out the minimum element with the minimum usability, we can fill it in this column. Now the element with the next minimum usability, we can fill it in this column. Then next element we can fill it in this column. So um, going from the smallest value, we can optimize the result and try to fill it in column wise, right? Now how do we proceed or try to implement this solution? Means we need to obviously sort the array. So sort the usability dot begin comma usability dot end. Now once we have sorted it, uh, for this the first column, what is the size, required size? So the required size currently is 1. Alright, so we will take this variable. Along with that, what is the current sum of values? What is the current count of values that we have at hand? For example, since we are just starting, we do not have any element at hand to fill. So let's initialize this count to initially to 0. Now let's start from the smallest element, right? Usability array. Now if this will increase the count by x, means we have these many elements to fill in this horizontal, right? Suppose the array was 2 3 4. So we have sorted it, so we have two zeros to fill in this variable, all right. So hence we increase the count by the number of values, means the number of usability credits that we have. Now here it was 2 3 4. So we check if we are able to satisfy the requirement, current size requirement, with the current sum of total values. So for example, if the current count was like greater than equals to the required size that we need, all right. So if we are able to satisfy this requirement, hence we will fill it simply here. So we will fill 0 here. Now this count of 2 will become 1. And why we are why how we can reuse this 0 in future columns? We can will avoid filling it in this row. We can fill it here or here, means in upper rows, right? So hence we are not discarding this value for future filling. We'll keep the count of this value. Hence we only reduce count by the size we are currently using. So hence we will reduce the count by the current size required, right? For example, here the current size required was 2. Here it will be here the current size required was 1, and here it will be 2 and 3 and so on. So hence at each step we need to also, if current size condition is satisfied, we need to increase the required size for future verticals, right? And yeah, this is what we will follow. And finally, if the required size would be means the required size variable will be storing the the column which is yet to be filled, right? So hence the our answer would be, means current size would be answer means current size would be required size minus 1, right? Suppose the current requirement was 2 and the loop ended. So hence we have filled values till here. Since we have satisfied the group's condition for required size -1. All right. So this is the approach that we will use to uh, solve this particular problem. The main idea was to look it from a different perspective instead of looking it row wise. If we try to look it column wise, then we will able to, means we will not have this distinct condition here, and hence we can simply try to greedily fill with the count of, means the frequency of values that we have. So let's see the implementation that we have done. So we'll just create these two values, count equals to 0. We have taken long because count can means 25 into 1e9, it can go up to 140. So now we will increase the count, and then if count is getting equals to required size, we just reduce the required size uh, from the count and increase required size by 1, and finally the result will be stored in required size -1, the number of groups that we have already created. So let's try to submit it as well and see how well it performs. So yeah, it runs fair enough. The complexity is of the order of this sorting takes n log n, and this loop executes for n, and the overall complexity is n log n only. So yeah, so I hope you get the intuition behind the approach and how the perspective of viewing the problem mattered here, and like it is means very good problem, where observation based problem. So like yeah, if you have any doubts, feel free to comment down. Thank you for watching.